No other legislation has sparked as much public interest in India recently as the Women's Reservation Bill, a transformative step towards gender equality. This groundbreaking bill, also known as the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, was announced by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi with a revolutionary intention to reserve one-third of all seats in the lower house and state legislative assemblies for women. The journey of the Women's Reservation Bill has been a long and arduous one. First introduced in the year 1996, it faced considerable opposition from conservative parties, stalling its progress for almost 3 decades. But as the saying goes, perseverance pays off. After 27 years, the bill has finally passed in both the lower and upper houses with near unanimity, and now eagerly awaits the President's signature to officially become law. Let's take a moment to understand the current scenario. As it stands, women occupy only 15% of seats in the lower house and 12% in the upper house. A stark disparity, wouldn't you say? This imbalance is further echoed in India's ranking of 141st out of 185 countries in the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report. The Women's Reservation Bill aims to address this gender parity gap in the legislatures, ensuring increased representation of women in decision-making bodies. It's a progressive step, not just for political inclusivity, but also for the empowerment of women across the nation. The passing of the Women's Reservation Bill marks a significant stride towards leveling the political playing field in India. As the country celebrates this historic legislation, we look forward to witnessing the positive impact it's bound to have on the future of Indian politics. The journey of the Women's Reservation Bill is a testament to the perseverance of those advocating for women's rights. It's a tale of resilience, of patience, and most importantly of change. The bill, officially known as the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, was first introduced in the year 1996, yes, nearly 3 decades ago. It was met with opposition from conservative parties, halting its progress and leaving it in legislative limbo. But those advocating for women's rights did not lose hope. They understood the importance of equal representation in decision-making bodies and persisted in their efforts. And their determination bore fruit. After 27 long years, the bill was passed with near unanimity in both the lower and upper houses, a rare show of consensus that underscores the importance of the issue at hand. Now it awaits the President's signature to become a law that could significantly alter the political landscape of India by ensuring greater representation for women in legislative assemblies, a law that could address the gender parity gap in our legislatures. It's worth noting the role of women as voters in recent times. Women in India have been increasingly engaged in the electoral process, accounting for almost half of registered voters. The impact of this cannot be overstated. It has the potential to influence political parties to be more gender inclusive, to appoint more women to leadership positions, and to prioritize issues that matter to women. The passing of this bill indeed heralds a new era of political empowerment for Indian women. Their voices, their perspectives, their leadership are crucial for the development of a fair and equitable society. The journey of the Women's Reservation Bill may have been long, but it is a journey that is taking us towards a more inclusive democracy. And that, my friends, is a journey worth celebrating. The Women's Reservation Bill, though simple in its proposition, carries profound implications for the political landscape of India. Firstly, let's talk about the core feature of this bill: reservation for women. The bill proposes to reserve, as nearly as possible, one-third of all seats in the Lok Sabha, state legislative assemblies, and the Legislative Assembly of the National Capital Territory of Delhi for women. This reservation will not only apply to the general seats, but also to the seats already reserved for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Next, let's delve into when this reservation would commence. The bill stipulates that the reservation will take effect after the census conducted post the commencement of the bill has been published. Based on this census, a delimitation will be undertaken to reserve seats for women. This reservation will be provided for a period of 15 years. However, it could continue beyond this period, until a date determined by a law made by Parliament. Another key feature to note is the rotation of seats. The seats reserved for women will be rotated after each delimitation, as determined by a law made by Parliament. This rotation is intended to ensure that over time women from different constituencies have an opportunity to represent their areas. Now, you might be wondering about the upcoming 2024 elections. Well, the Union Home Minister clarified that the reservation will not be implemented in the forthcoming elections. According to him, the next government will conduct the census and the delimitation exercise after the Lok Sabha elections to set in motion the process to make reservations for women in Lok Sabha and state assemblies. These features of the Women's Reservation Bill aim to ensure a fair, equitable representation of women in the political decision-making process. A key aspect of the Women's Reservation Bill is the delimitation exercise, a critical process that precedes the implementation of the reservation. The delimitation exercise is essentially a task of defining and redefining territorial boundaries or constituencies in accordance with the population data gathered through the latest census. This exercise is crucial in ensuring that each constituency has approximately the same number of people and that representation is fair and equitable. The task of carrying out the delimitation exercise is entrusted to the Delimitation Commission. Typically, this commission is headed by a retired Supreme Court judge and is responsible for analysing the census data to redraw the boundaries of the constituencies. The process, however, is not a quick one. To give you an idea, the 2002 Delimitation Commission took about 5 years to complete the exercise, based on the 2001 census report. This timeline underscores the complexity and the meticulousness required for this exercise. Interestingly, the past delimitation exercises conducted in the years 1952, 1963, 1973 and 2002 did not consider the exact number of women in a constituency. With the Women's Reservation Bill, this is set to change. It's also important to note that not all regions have been included in every delimitation exercise. For instance, after the 2001 census, the delimitation exercise for Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland and Manipur was left out by the 2002 Commission. And let's not forget the delimitation exercise for the newly formulated Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which took over 2 years from March 2020 to May 2022. The delimitation exercise is an essential step in the implementation of the Women's Reservation Bill. It is a complex and time-consuming process, but a crucial one to ensure that the aim of the bill, which is to provide fair and equitable representation to women in the legislative bodies, is achieved. The delimitation exercise is an important part of the process to ensure fair and equitable representation. The Women's Reservation Bill, once enacted, promises to reshape the political landscape of India. Imagine a parliament where 1/3 of the voices heard are those of women, bringing their unique perspectives and experiences to the decision-making table. This is not a distant dream, but a tangible reality in the making. The bill, also known as the Nari, Shakti, Vandan, Adhiniyam, is an accelerator for women's empowerment. It aims to bridge the gender gap in the political sphere, encouraging more women to step into legislative roles. This increase in representation is not just symbolic, it has the potential to influence policies and laws, ensuring they are more attuned to the needs and rights of women. But the impact of this bill extends beyond the walls of the Parliament. It sends a powerful message to the society at large. It tells every girl in India that her voice matters, that she can aspire to lead, and that her country believes in her potential. It reinforces the belief that women are equal stakeholders in the nation's progress. On the political front, the bill is expected to bring about a significant shift. Political parties driven by the need to fill the reserved seats will have to seek out competent women leaders. This necessity could lead to a more gender-inclusive approach in politics, with parties investing in nurturing women leaders and giving them prominent roles. Moreover, the bill could also influence the political discourse in India. With more women in decision-making positions, issues that have been traditionally sidelined, such as women's health, safety and education, could find a stronger voice. However, it's important to remember that the bill is not an end in itself, but a means to an end. The ultimate goal is achieving true gender equality, where every woman has the opportunity to contribute to the nation's growth, free from discrimination or bias. The Women's Reservation Bill is a historic step in India's journey towards gender equality, promising a brighter and more inclusive future for all its citizens.